Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Cody with The Connected Camper. Today, I'm going to be going over my internet setup, and I'm also going to be doing some enhancements to it today with you guys watching. So I'm going to get set up a little bit better here, and I'll show you some of the components that we're going to be working with today. This is our Starlink Gen 1, or the round dish. If you have any other version of Starlink, you will need an RJ45 adapter from Starlink to get to the Cat 6 or RJ45 end like we have here. At the core of our setup is this GLI Net Barrel MT1300 router. This does not support dual WAN scenarios right out of the box. You will need to upgrade to beta firmware for the time being until it becomes general availability. And so we will have Starlink coming in as WAN 1 on this, and then we'll be connecting a Calix Institute T-Mobile hotspot to this to act as our second WAN in the event that Starlink cuts out or we have obstructions. And this will be connecting to this router via USB. And it can tether via USB. So we don't have another wireless network that we have to connect to. We just have one trailer wireless network. Now, as part of this today, we're going to be relocating all of this, as opposed to sitting on the counter like it is now. We're going to be moving this up here next to the mini split, right in this little spot right here. And so then we will run our power down where the mini split lines go, all the way down here, and it's actually going to plug into the same outlet that the mini split plugs into right there. So we're going to relocate the Starlink PoE injector up there as well. And so we're going to have an Ethernet cable that goes from the Starlink PoE injector from up here down, and it's going to go around, over, and over here, and then along the wall, and it's actually going to go in a box right here, right on this wall. And it's going to have the Starlink, it's going to present an Ethernet jack for the Starlink cable that's hanging out the window right there to plug into it and get connectivity to the trailer. So then that way I don't have to run that cable all the way in here and lose about 8 foot of cable. In the event that I need to move the dish farther away, I'll have 8 additional feet to do that. Now we have some cable tidy items here. We have the actual Ethernet cable that's going to be getting run inside. And then we have our Ethernet box that I was describing that's going to get mounted on the outside. We have a random Ethernet cable here too. And then we have a power strip that's going to go up there. Now, one of the important enhancements here is this little smart power outlet. You could go get any smart power outlet that connects to your Wi-Fi and powers on and off on a schedule. However, not all of them will abide by that schedule if they lose internet connectivity. This one from Govee will, as well as it connects via Bluetooth in the event that Wi-Fi is not available. So I'm going to use this to toggle on and off the Starlink PoE injector after hours so I can conserve energy when I'm not using internet. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to get you set up a little bit better, and we're going to get to installing the items in their respective spots, and then we'll get the cable run through here, and I'll show you the final setup once it's all done. So none of that video is actually going to turn out very well, so we're not going to include it. But I do have the junction box here, or the Ethernet plate, and we have Dishy right here that we are going to plug in. And then we should watch Dishy come unstowed here in just a moment. Okay, so Dishy did not wake up, but it's due to my own doing. Our smart outlet was not on. So let's go let it wake up now. There we go. All right, so you can see Starlink out there coming into our Ethernet jack. Our Ethernet cable coming around, just being held up with those cable tidy strips. They're adhesive. We'll see how well they stick. Gets pretty humid in here, but they come down here, they go, it's actually these little adhesive strips right here. They come over here, go up, and then it's going right up there with the mini split condensate lines. And you can actually see here, I ran out a cable from our extension cord, just like 3 inches short. So we're running it temporarily on this power strip. I've got a 1-foot extension cord coming from Amazon. Didn't even know those existed, but it's going to be a perfect application here to get us that last few inches. So not everything goes perfectly according to plan, but we make do. All right, and our pool noodle / line set cover is in and has all of our power cables and Ethernet cables nice and tidy going up into this cabinet. And then up here, you can see the power strip in the back left, the PoE injector for Starlink right there just behind the travel router, right there. And then that gets plugged into the smart outlet. From the PoE injector goes to WAN 1 on the travel router right here in front. And then our T-Mobile Calyx Institute Unlimited 5G hotspot is plugged in via USB to our travel router. So now on the administrative side of things, we can see that we are in the GLI Net Admin panel for the MT1300 router. Now, again, we're on a firmware version that is beta. So if you want to jump to the beta version for some of the multi-WAN settings that I'm going to show here, that is absolutely possible. However, do that at your own risk. There are some little finicky actions that happen with this because it is beta, but you have to remember that you're getting additional features at the expense of some maybe questionable behavior that comes up. So first of all, on the homepage here, you can see that our WAN interface is this tethering from our Android hotspot that's connected via USB, as you can see over here. Now our other WAN interface, which is our Starlink that's sitting right outside, is connected, but the internet cannot be accessed with IPv4 because my Starlink is on the Roam plan. So it is paused currently because we're at my home. We have internet here. We also have it via T-Mobile, where we're going to be camping a lot this summer. So Starlink is going to be stowed for a lot of it. However, I still like to have this set up so that way in the event I get in a spot that either T-Mobile is congested or I'm in a spot where I unexpectedly don't have service, then I can pull out Starlink, unpause it, and be good to go. So to get to your multi-WAN settings, you can come down here, and I actually have mine set up in failover. So I have it set up that T-Mobile is the primary and Ethernet is secondary, and it actually moved this automatically. It is usually the other way around, where Ethernet is number 1, so Starlink would be number 1, and then T-Mobile would be second. Now, it moved automatically because Ethernet is down because Starlink is paused. Now, I'm going to do a quick speed test here to show you a little bit more about this, but one of the nice features of this GLI Net is that I can actually come up here to internet and I can set it up so that it repeats the connectivity from maybe an RV park. Or in my instance, I don't really stay in RV park, so I could actually connect this up to the Wi-Fi from my house. Now my trailer is a little bit farther down my driveway, and so the internet connectivity from my house, the Wi-Fi range is a little bit limited, and it actually isn't even worth connecting. However, it is possible with this little MT1300 router. Now with this, I can also have this VPN back to my home network. So I can use it to come up here and connect to my home network via OpenVPN. I actually have an OpenVPN server in my home network that I can connect to, and then automatically have all of my traffic go from T-Mobile or Starlink directly to my home network and make it appear like I'm working from my home as opposed to working from the road. I don't use that because the performance struggles. It uses a lot more CPU on this tiny router, and so the performance ends up being about 15 megabit down and 15 megabit up, which is okay, but I'd rather get the full 100, 150 that I would be getting from Starlink or T-Mobile at any given moment. And so I'm going to come over here to T-Mobile and show you some settings in this T-Mobile 5G hotspot. Now you might be saying, Cody, this is a 5G hotspot. Why is it only connected on 4G? Now, that is a specific issue with this hotspot. Is this hotspot, if it is on 5G for more than a day, it ends up dropping its connection, and this little globe up here gets a little X across it. Now, I don't know why it does that. Maybe the 5G bands are saturated and it needs to kick off clients, but it is really frustrating when I have my trailer connected and all of a sudden I have to come out here and reboot this hotspot daily. I figured out 4G is pretty much just as fast as 5G in my area, and the connectivity is rock solid. This thing has been running for almost 2 weeks without any interruption or any intervention needed from me. So I'm going to come over here and show you a speed test on 4G, and then I'll show you a speed test after I switch it to 5G. So you can see down here on speed test that it shows that we are on T-Mobile and it is not pulling anything from Starlink, and we're probably going to get around 70 to 80 megabits per second, right around 70 to 80 as I speculated. We might get up to 100, but we will get about 98 to 100. Yeah, so we're getting 100, and that's great. That's really good for 4G bands, honestly. And so the upload will go here, and that's going to be probably 2 or 3. It's rarely anything substantial. So let me block this, and then we'll actually come over here, and I'm going to stop this speed test. And we'll just refresh the page. And so we had 100 down, 2 or 3 up. And I'm going to change my settings here to go to 5G. Now, just for this test, it will be perfectly fine. However, when we get into it, it's going to... It will have to disconnect and reconnect the hotspot. So you'll see that here in just a second. So we're going to change it to automatic or prefer 5G rather. And so it's going to tell us you're going to disconnect, but that's fine. It's pretty quick. And so you'll see the little X come up across the globe here in just a second when I come over here to the status page. And you'll see that it's connecting, it's verified, and you can see that it is connected to 5G, and you can see that we have full bars up here. Now let me come back over here to speed test, and we'll do one more refresh here to make sure that we are on the 5G bands and everything else there. And let me just click go. And so we should see a theoretical performance increase. Oh, looks like it refreshed right as we were doing that. My apologies. Let's try that one more time. We should see a theoretical increase because 5G has more bandwidth available to it. However, in my area, 5G could be more congested than 4G. And honestly, if you look at this, we're getting 25, 30, maybe 40 megabits additional. And honestly, between us, I don't notice that difference between 138 versus 100. So I would prefer the stability of the 4G LTE where I don't have to come out here and reset it or anything else. But this is another common problem that we're seeing right here where you get no upload on 5G. I ran into this very frequently on our recent trip out to Colorado where I had plenty of download speed, however, no upload. And no upload is like you talking to someone, but not being able to hear their responses. So you're having a one-way conversation, and unfortunately, the internet doesn't work very well when you only have one-way communications happening here. And so, as you can see, this 5G hotspot is very good. I love it and I hate it because I've seen some of the highest speed tests I've ever seen with this, but I've also had some of the weirdest issues with the internet, that being 5G only, that I've had issues with. When I switch it to 4G, it is rock solid and a great tool for my trailer. Now, like I mentioned, for our setup, when we are in Iowa, like we are right now, we use T-Mobile as our primary, and we will pull out Starlink and use that when needed. However, Starlink is reserved for our more remote trips or spots where cellular signal is not as prevalent. Now, that's my setup on the administrative interface. The T-Mobile hotspot with that mobile travel router only takes about 5 watts to run. Now, with the Starlink hooked up, it will take about 100 watts to run, to 150 if you're using the snow melt feature. Now, that's why we have the smart outlet. We can time it so that that shuts off at 10:30 p.m., turns on at 5:30 a.m. So then we're not using that 150 watts throughout the night. We're just using the 5 or so that takes to run the rest of it. And so it works really well for me. Now, if you like these components, if you like this video, the affiliate links are below in the description. Feel free to also like, subscribe, leave comments if you have ideas for future videos. Now again, this is Cody with a Connected Camper. This is the setup that works for me. It might not work for you, or it might. Try these things out. This is a really inexpensive way to get good connectivity on the road. So if you like this video, like, subscribe, and thanks again for watching.